Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with another episode of Total Breakdown. Today's battle shows Zara's Argwylon battled Mousillon, led by inforiox. This battle was submitted through the Discord, so I just want to take a quick second to mention, if you aren't already in our Discord, you should check the link in the description below. It's a great place to just hang out and chat with some like-minded individuals. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about composition. A Glade Lord flies in to lead the Wood Elves with the Eye of Kronos, Arrow of Kronos, Prey of Anathrema, and a Potion of Toughness. The Spellsinger of Life flies in alongside her, with Blessing of the Ancients, Life Bloom, Earthblood, the Dwellers Below, and Arcane Conduit. The infantry line consists of 4 units of Eternal Guard with shields, alongside a unit of Wildwood Rangers. These guys will shut down or at least hold most undead infantry in place, and will do well against enemy large units as well. The 3 units of Glade Guard come in with Starfire Shafts, which is always an excellent call against Mousillon and other undead armies, as they might bring units with regeneration, and those will make for great targets. Then, the 2 units of Treekin will form great shields for the ranged contingent, as they have a very high melee defense and are great at holding their ground, while the Forest Dragon will join the rest of the Argwylon Air Force and look to cause a great deal of damage to health and morale with flanking maneuvers and rear charges. Mousillon is led by the Red Duke himself on horseback with the Curse of Undeath, the Hunger, Invocation of Nehek, Raise Dead, Wind of Death, Arcane Conduit, Red Fury, Undeath Resurgent, and El Sif. His 4 Graveguard and the Sternsmen form a relatively strong infantry line, as the typical Wood Elf army isn't heavily armored. 3 units of Black Knights are likely looking to shut down ranged support by approaching from multiple directions, while the 2 units of Blood Knights will look to eliminate large threats and then turn their attention to ranged support or frontline engagements. Finally, we have a unit of Fellbats as well, a dangerous pick against an army that might have a flying Glade Lord, but much like the cavalry, the Fellbats are meant to keep Argwylon on their toes and keep them worried about attacks coming in from multiple directions. Alright, as always, we start with a conversation about deployment, and it is relatively simple from both sides of the field. The army of Argwylon keeps it relatively compact. They've got their Treekin up front, of course, forming that shield wall, as it were, and right behind them we do have all 3 units of Glade Guard with their Starfire Shafts, again, just providing that range support. Early fire damage is great, especially against targets that have regeneration. Right behind them, we do have the Eternal Guard with shields forming up, and they again are able to dive into the front line if necessary and provide some support once the Treekin have the enemy held in place, or they're able to come in with flanking maneuvers, come in from the rear, whatever might be necessary. And of course, they're also able to defend from large units that are coming in from multiple directions. And finally, we do have the Wildwood Rangers as well, forming part of the main contingent, and these guys naturally as well can come in from the flanks if necessary up front, or they can defend the rear entry points for or against enemy cavalry, large units, flyers, whatever it might be. Meanwhile, we do have the Argwylon Air Force as well off to the side here, being sent off right away to start. We do have, of course, the Spellsinger of Life, the Glade Lord, as well as the Forest Dragon, and these guys will form a nice collective, and they can cause a decent amount of damage if used well. Now let's take a look at Mousillon, a much wider deployment here. First things first, their main line consists of the Graveguard as well as the Sternsmen in the middle, so a little bit stronger in the center than on either flank. We do have the Fellbats right behind them as well. And then on either flank, very far away from each other, we do have the Black Knights as well as the Blood Knights on this side, 2 Black Knights, 1 unit of Blood Knights, and on the other side we have 1 unit of Black Knights, 1 unit of Blood Knights, and of course the Red Duke himself. So very far apart, again, able to come in from multiple directions, get a lot of harassment in, cause a lot of tension among the Wood Elves, and sort of have to force them to defend in multiple directions while also watching for the frontline engagement. So always a good idea to keep sort of a wide spread, a lot of cavalry, a lot of fast-moving units when you are playing against the Wood Elves, because they might be very heavy with their ranged units. Unfortunately, this army was not. Now, as we kick it into full speed, you'll see the first thing that happens is the Air Force is going about scouting, so good recon movement, always a good idea. As you can see with the minimap, nothing from Mousillon is visible right now, so it's important to get your sort of eyes out there, and that's exactly what these guys are doing, just pushing out, making sure they're fully aware of exactly how Mousillon is deployed, where they might be coming from, and getting that early information is very important, especially when, you know, stuff like this might be happening. So, good call there, getting the scouting done nice and early. Fellbats as well, pushing off to the side, trying to stay clear of the Air Force, obviously, and you'll see right away the Forest Dragon and the Glade Lord dive in to the Graveguard here, just to get some early damage in. No harm done, it's always a good idea. Might as well if you can get the early damage in, but have to be very careful about the cavalry that is pushing up. You'll see they push right through and take to the air as the Knights here turn around and they try to bog down both of these flyers. So, again, just poking in, getting a little bit of early damage, not too much, but anything counts. And then again, pushing up and maybe chasing after the Red Duke there a little bit. He is isolated right now, so it's a good idea to, again, get some damage in nice and early. If you're able to kill undead leadership, it's a great call, because obviously, you know, when their leadership goes down, they start crumbling. The health damage then causes more morale damage, but there you'll see they have regrouped a little bit, and now it's a little bit more dangerous to dive back down in there and try and take care of the Red Duke. So they continue pushing forward. The Argwylon Air Force again acting as sort of an escort for a little while there as these guys are looking to find a ideal position to attack from. Meanwhile, you'll see the early attacks there have forced the Graveguard to fall out of formation. As you'll see, these guys pulled back to take care of each other, I suppose, and as a result of that, the army is now pushing forward in two very separate pieces when it comes to the front line. Sometimes it's a good call to just be patient and wait until your lines form up again and then push forward together. It gives you a more consistent front line. At the same time, you'll see now we do have the Glade Guard with Starfire Shafts opening fire, but not the best target selection here. They're opening shots off at the regular Graveguard when the Sternsmen are right there, also within range. So the Sternsmen should have been targeted just because they have regeneration, and that means they're a lot more susceptible to fire attacks. So unfortunately, they're hitting the regular Graveguard. They have silver shields, so to do the Sternsmen, but the Sternsmen would eat a lot more damage for every hit that actually makes it through the shields. Now you'll see down here at the same time, we do have the Fell Bats getting swarmed by the Forest Dragon as well as the Spellslinger of Life. Just trying to take care of these guys before they're able to dive in on the Glade Guard. Good call there. You don't want to stop the missile fire, so making sure these guys aren't able to get through very easily, very quickly taking care of them, and continuing to open fire at that front line as it sort of creeps forward. And you'll see right now, we have the Red Duke camping out there quite clearly, paying far too much attention to the frontline engagement as these guys are all pushing away, distracted maybe by the cavalry over here, not paying attention to what's going on this side of the field. And so we have this wonderful Wind of Death set up and able to take care of almost all of these Eternal Guard units. Their the shields won't do anything against the Wind of Death. You'll see that's one unit completely obliterated. 3 of them left as the Wind of Death passes by over them. The second unit as well, completely devastated, absolutely destroyed. Looking up at the source here for all words of massive destruction. Just one individual left from that unit, and then this third Eternal Guard with shield unit again completely obliterated. And they leave with 11 people left, 9 people left, and just a little bit of damage to that last unit of Eternal Guard with shields, and you'll see that entire infantry line has been completely destroyed. Front line nowhere near each other, but the Argwylon infantry has largely been taken care of. Both of these units are, well, completely useless now. Oh, there we go. Both have shattered completely. These guys are close to shattering as well, but even if they weren't to shatter, they won't be worth anything when they come back. And this unit of Eternal Guard with shield, basically the last standing bastion of the Argwylon infantry line. Meanwhile, you'll see the Glade Guard here finally picking the right target, focusing on the Sternsmen, and you'll see the Sternsmen have already taken more damage than the Graveguard have in maybe half as many volleys. So very important to have the right target selection when you have paid for the appropriate type of ammunition. It would have been better if that had just started a little bit sooner, because then the Sternsmen would be in a much worse place before they got so close. But again, now you'll see back here, we do have the Black Knights as well as the Blood Knights pushing in. They've come around this stone over here. This massive ruin over here, and they're pushing in from the rear and causing, once again, more concern for the Wood Elves as this cavalry contingent pushes in from this side. So great job getting a full surround up against the Wood Elves. At the same time, you'll see these Fellbats have been taken care of, but no big deal. Mousillon has definitely come out on top in this situation as the entire infantry line is completely devastated. But you'll see we do have the cavalry coming in to respond naturally, coming in from the side, holding up against these Treekin back here. The Blood Knights and the Black Knights are pushing through as well. The Eternal Guard with their shields trying to hold these guys back, but they're able to just push through and get into the rear of these Glade Guard with shields, of course. And you'll see over here the Treekin are trying to push into position to hold back the infantry advantage. Now all they can do is hope to hold these guys back and bog them down. Meanwhile, over here you'll see we've got the Glade Lord as well as the Spellslinger of Life pushing in towards the Red Duke to try and finish him off. And at the same time, these zombies come up as well to shut down all of the ranged fire. So great cast there, bringing the zombies up over here and pushing in towards the Glade Guard, because these guys are, well, these guys are taken care of as the cavalry charge came through. These guys over here are going to take some hurt as these guys are pushing in, and we also have the Sternsmen trying to creep through the Treekin over here. So all that was sort of left in terms of range support was this unit of Glade Guard, and so these zombies come in to, again, push in. So great use of Raised Dead there after the Wind of Death. All other magic seems very piddly, I guess. Now we do have the Graveguard pushing in as over here the Red Duke gets caught under the Prey of Anathema to just keep him in place as the Spellslinger of Life, the Forest Dragon, and the Glade Lord all dive in to try and finish him off again. Right now the leadership battle needs to be won here. You'll see we've got quite a few things going on. Undeath Resurgent going down to try and keep him alive, while at the same time we have this full surround. Another unit of zombies gets brought up again to bog down the Argwylon Air Force that the Red Duke might be able to escape, and you'll see as the Prey of Anathema does give up, he's trying to get out of there. Meanwhile, over here we do have the Dwellers Below activate a little bit just to try and cause a little bit of direct damage over here. And meanwhile, in the center, once again, another cast of zombies. Great move there, just trying to bog these guys down. This unit of Glade Guard largely taken care of already with the Grave Guard right there, but the zombies here just to cap off these guys and make sure they're not able to get much work done. Meanwhile, back here, you'll see the Black Knights have been pulled away, as well as the Blood Knights over here pulled away. They've taken a decent amount of damage because, again, Wildwood Rangers do a great amount of work against enemy cavalry. So these guys have pulled away, but they are chasing down some of the routing Glade Guard units over here. These Blood Knights should have been brought back just a little bit sooner. Got a rear charge in these guys and then pulled away, or sort of come in from the side and hit these treekin, but you'll see a major problem here from the Vampire Counts, or I should say Mousillon, sorry. They're letting themselves get bogged down. Take a look at these units over here, these Blood Knights, this unit of Black Knights, sort of standing there looking pretty, not doing anything. They should really be pulling back, coming around from multiple directions. Again, they have the advantage of mobility, but they're simply not using it. Meanwhile, we do have another unit of Glade Guard there, giving up, surrendering, pulling back, but again, this right flank is really not faltering. You'll see the Argwylon units are managing to hold their ground. The treekin are holding their ground there. These zombies are going to be able to take care of the Glade Guard relatively easily, at least bog them down and prevent the support. But really, if some of these Blood Knights had pulled around and come in towards, the Glade Lord over here or the Forest Dragon, they'd be a little bit more hesitant about staying down there. Right now, we just have these Grave Guard and a couple of zombies trying to protect the Red Duke, who's taken a lot of damage. He's about at 50% health, just below 50% health. He needs to be pulled out of there right here, right now. Now the Wildwood Rangers, meanwhile, on the right flank, pushing in, trying to get a side charge into the Grave Guard as well as the Black Knights, because again, they'll do well against both of those units. And the Wood Elves just trying to hold these guys in place as this unit of Blood Knights finally getting the hint and pulling away. So it took a long time, and you'll see some of these units still clumped in there. A lot of these guys, this entire clump at the back there, not doing anything, just standing there looking pretty once again. But the Blood Knights do come in, and they do manage to hit the Glade Lord, get a decent amount of damage. Look at the morale damage. That's all it takes sometimes, is a decent side charge from some Blood Knights. Now, at the same time, we do have Invocation of Nehek going down over here. You're just trying to keep these guys alive, while this unit of Blood Knights as well, coming in from the side after having dealt with some of these ranged units, again pushing in to try and scare off all three of these large units. The Argwylon Air Force is now in a bit of a back foot situation. The Glade Lord, you'll see, pops the Potion of Toughness to try and stay strong and bring health back, but is being frightened away. Morale is very low right now, and the Spellsinger of Life as well, shaken, wavering, and now routing on her way out. Not able to get any casts off, so the Glade Lord as well needs to be pulled away. Lore of Life is not there to keep her safe, and the same thing with the Forest Dragon as well. Meanwhile, over here, take a look at the beating that Mousillon is taking. That right flank has held strong. The treekin are able to hold the line, as I mentioned earlier, and the Wildwood Rangers and Eternal Guard with shields, they do a lot of work against cavalry and infantry units. So very quickly starting to crumble over here, especially with that side charge coming in. These guys, nicely done, pulled away to some safety, but very close to falling apart. Now you'll see the Glade Lord coming back here to provide some support, able to, again, provide some morale support, but also dive in and get some damage in. Pops into the Red Duke once more, trying to get some hurt in, while up here you'll see the Forest Dragon being hounded by these Blood Knights, just trying to finish the Forest Dragon off. Great call there, but right now there's a much more dangerous situation down here. These Blood Knights need to be pulled back, especially now that the Forest Dragon has completely shattered. Meanwhile, we do have, you'll see Earthblood going down from the Spellsinger of Life, trying to keep these guys alive and fighting well, while you'll see over here the Black Knights do come in and then decide not to engage. They really should have got a rear charge into some of these guys. They're Black Knights, they're anti-infantry, they're not going to do as well against the Glade Lord. Yeah, you can get some damage in, but there was a perfect charge coming up right there. These guys hit by a rear charge might have started to waver, if not completely break, and that might have helped keep these Grave Guard alive with that little bit of morale support, tipping this battle over, winning that right flank, but instead deciding to dive into this engagement where they're just not as well equipped. It's very important to keep an eye on what type of unit you're sending where. And you will see, though, the Red Duke here, very low on health, pops another unit of zombies to try and stay alive, pulling away as he is crumbling, and these zombies will hopefully hold the Glade Lord as well as the Treekin and the Spellsinger of Life in place. You'll see he's getting out of there, pops Undeath Resurgent before he gets out of range, just to make sure that these guys survive for a little bit longer. And the Red Duke is in a very dangerous situation, low on health, but also very low on his ability to regenerate health. Only about 25% of health left there, and you'll see here the Forest Dragon that the Glade Lord is riding, having a great time, while the Spellsinger of Life dives into the Red Duke once again, begins crumbling, very low on health, very close to dying, and you'll see across the board, Mousillon is having a very tough time. Another unit of zombies brought up here to protect the Red Duke. Good use of zombies, but unfortunately, the Red Duke does die. And as a result of that, the already low morale units here, the wavering units of Mousillon, are going to start crumbling. This Grave Guard has been crumbling for a little while now. These guys as well, weak binding that's going to drop quicker and quicker. The Sternsman here, critical binding, they're going to start crumbling very soon. So great job picking out the Red Duke. And now these zombies, while yes, they'll be able to bog down the Spellsinger of Life, and maybe she won't be able to cast another Earthblood out, but They're just not popped out yet, and she will try and get a little bit of magic out. There you go. An Earth Blood. She manages to fly away, tossing those zombies aside. The Blood Knights come in, try to take care of her, but she does take to the air, so now she has to dive in here, or rather they have to dive in here and try and finish off the Glade Lord. These guys are in a tough spot, so you'll see the Prey of Anathema does come down to protect the Glade Lord over here, as well as the Treekin from what would have been a very devastating charge. A lot of the Blood Knights who weren't caught by the Prey of Anathema are actually being slowed down as well, because they're bogged down by this sort of mix and match of both units, so those guys are being slowed down as well. Their charge is going to be ineffective. And over here as well, you'll see they actually get bogged down by some of their own units. Some of these Graveguard and Black Knights block their entry into getting a direct charge into the Treekin or the Glade Lord. Meanwhile, this right flank is completely Argwylon's now. You'll see the Treekin still basically at full health. Remember, Earthblood does well, especially when you have low unit counts, low entity counts, I should say, in a unit, because Earthblood only heals living units, doesn't bring things back from the dead, obviously. Now, as I was saying, the right flank largely taken care of. It belongs to Argwylon, and meanwhile, the Glade Lord there pulling out just a little bit, trying to stay safe from the Blood Knights because they are pretty dangerous. Zombies doing a decent enough job trying to hold her in place, but she's on a Forest Dragon, so doesn't really matter. Flies away. These guys trying to hold the Glade Lord down, trying to break that leadership because the leadership damage, again, can still tip the battle over, but again, the Forest Dragon is just able to creep away and stay safe, and you'll see we've got the Eternal Guard with shields again, dealing damage to these Black Knights. The morale is already low. They're going to start crumbling, and there you have it. They're crumbling now. And meanwhile, the Treekin from the rear as well, able to push in, cause a decent amount of damage, while the Forest Dragon is having a field day. Rather, the Glade Lord's Forest Dragon, I should specify, having a great time beating away at these various units. Spellslinger of Life, good idea, keeping her in the air, keeping her safe. No need to send her into battle, but and especially because you'll see with this sort of semi-surround going on, a lot of these units are, again, in critical binding, starting to drop in their leadership, and now we have ranged fire coming in as well, so just that extra little bit of morale damage from ranged fire as this unit of Blade Guard are able to return to the fray after being scared off pretty far away. So great use of ranged support, great use of a good surround here, good idea keeping the Spellslinger of Life nice and safe. The Wildwood Rangers right now could be pushed in as well just to make quicker work of what's left of Mousillon, because this is still a threatening unit. If these guys unblobbed, split apart, and got a few cycle charges in, Mousillon could still have the day, but right now they're staying clumped in, they're not able to push away, they're not choosing to push away, and as a result of that, these guys are taking a ton of damage, both to health and to morale, and you'll see the Treekin, again, still alive as before, doing quite well. These Treekin as well, just beating away at the various Mousillon units, and as a result of that, as a result of the full surround, the crumbling begins. Range fire definitely helping as well, and you'll see at this point, really, might have been a good idea to GG, because morale is far too low. There's a couple of zombies left, the cavalry is largely taken care of, and as a result of that, and some great management, Argwylon actually takes the day with a Pyrrhic victory. Now, the battle is another showcase of the power of and the false sense of security resulting from the Wind of Death. The cast in this battle was near perfect and took out most of the Wood Elf infantry. Unfortunately, by allowing units to clump soon after and seemingly relying on shock and awe tactics, Mousillon allowed itself to get surrounded multiple times, wasted superior mobility, and ultimately crumbled and withered away. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Total War content and keep submitting your battle replays. I think it's one of the best ways to learn, and it's always nice to see great battles from the community highlighted. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the battlefield.